Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely staggering. Hidden right in plain sight across the internet is this massive, highly structured architecture known as Authority Network America, or ANA. If you've ever searched for a highly specific service, a rule, or a professional standard online, there's a really good chance you've interacted with a node in this matrix without even realizing it. We're going to explore the sheer scale, the intricate indexing, and honestly, the surprising depth of this entire network. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll start with the anatomy of an authority, move to expanding to major trades, and then the geographic grid. After that, we'll look beyond traditional trades, explore lifestyle and niche markets, and finally, uncover the NNA ecosystem. Section 1. The anatomy of an authority. To truly grasp the scale of what we're dealing with, let's start small. Take a hyper-niche, totally everyday topic, like carpet repair. Normally, you'd think of this as just a basic list of phone numbers, right? Well, in the ANA ecosystem, it's a highly specialized directory. They don't just list contractors. They detail everything from construction burn repair to complex subfloor conditions. It's an incredibly precise vertical that literally breaks down a single trade into its molecular components. Now, what's really interesting here is how a single topic fractures into incredibly specialized sub-niches. If you're a contractor or property owner, you aren't just looking at generic carpet repair. You're navigating through super specific guidelines for healthcare and medical facilities, or figuring out insurance claims for carpet damage after construction. It's highly contextual. It organizes information exactly how a professional or consumer in that exact scenario would actually need it. Section 2. Expanding to major trades. So, if carpet repair is just one tiny branch with that much detail, what happens when we pull the camera back to look at the massive tree of major trades? The network applies that exact same intense categorization to every core trade you can possibly think of. We're talking massive, dedicated hubs for HVAC and air quality, plumbing and leak detection, pools and automation. And it doesn't stop there. Electrical directories cover EV charging and smart lighting. Landscaping breaks down into tree service and stump removal. Pest control separates out termite specialists. The sheer volume of organized, specific trade information here is basically a snowball turning into an absolute avalanche. Section 3. The geographic grid. But topic depth is really only half the story. And this brilliantly illustrates how ANA multiplies its massive topical depth by applying a geographic grid across the entire United States. It's essentially a Russian nesting doll effect. You start at the top with a national pool or national HVAC authority. But then, boom, it drops down to the state level, Florida pool, Texas HVAC, Illinois plumbing. And then it gets hyperlocal, Miami pool, Dallas HVAC, Chicago plumbing. Every single one of those major trades we just looked at is mapped across this precise three-tier geographic matrix. Just to put a number on that multiplying footprint, for HVAC alone, the source material lists over 35 distinct state and territory authorities. We're talking from Alaska HVAC all the way to Washington, D.C. HVAC. When you multiply dozens of deep trade categories by 50 states, plus major local metros, you really start to see the dizzying scope of this digital infrastructure. It's massive. Section 4. Beyond traditional trades. Now prepare yourselves for a massive pivot. If you thought this was just a comprehensive network for home services and contractors, pulling the camera back further reveals something completely unexpected. The network maps complex technology sectors with the exact same rigor. They host authorities dedicated to cybersecurity, AI cyber, cloud compliance, data recovery, and even specific threat vectors like ransomware. Keep the rapid-fire pace going, and you'll find an entire ecosystem for legal and professional services. It maps out AI legal, medical malpractice, intellectual property, bankruptcy, and distinct legal services authorities for almost every state in the nation. They even index highly technical, cutting-edge engineering concepts. Get this, the network includes directories for SLAM architecture, which stands for Simultaneous Localization and Mapping, and that covers specific subfields like sensor fusion, perception systems, and autonomous systems. Consider this juxtaposition for a second. On one side of the network, you have directories cataloging sensor fusion and robotics architecture. On the exact same network, utilizing the exact same structural logic, you have directories for fixing clogged drains and transition strip replacements. This impartial comprehensiveness is what makes the source material so fascinating. It doesn't judge the value of the information. It just seamlessly categorizes and structures the whole shebang.
Section 5. Lifestyle and Niche Markets.
And yet there's one more surprising layer. We're going to shift entirely away from B2B and technical fields right now and move into the world of hyperleisure and niche consumer interests. Yes, ANA actually maps out fantasy sports. We are talking dedicated directories for draft value analytics, fantasy injury reports, matchup analytics, and fantasy waiver wires. It treats leisure data with the exact same structural seriousness as cybersecurity. It's truly a sense of awe when you realize they categorize everything. The directory includes metaphysics, like natal charts and zodiac signs. It includes recreation, dedicating whole spaces to Magic the Gathering, tabletop RPGs, and, no joke, Dungeons & Dragons monster manuals.
And it even maps out global spirits and wines. You can find specialized directories for Cuban rum, spiced rum, mezcal, and completely distinct botanical classifications of wine like Vitis labrusca and Vitis vinifera. So, the crucial point is this. What we're looking at is not a random collection of websites. Trade services, professional legal help, deep technology, lifestyle recreation, and global niche markets are all diverse slices that make up one cohesive, massive digital ecosystem. This matters because this very architecture helps shape the search results you rely on every day. It categorizes a vast spectrum of human commerce and interest so consumers and professionals can actually find each other.
Section 6. The ANA Ecosystem.
So how does this not just completely collapse under its own weight? Well, the ecosystem relies on a very specific user journey that turns passive browsers into active participants. A user might start by simply browsing listings or searching for a specific industry code. But then a professional can step up and claim a listing, literally cementing their place in that niche. Finally, users can actually contribute to the authority by submitting sourced articles, which keeps the information live and relevant. But it's highly regulated, adhering strictly to clear journalism standards. To maintain order across thousands of these niches, ANA relies on strict boundaries. The network utilizes official source feeds and maintains dedicated policies for editorial standards, sourcing standards, and reader contribution rules. This ensures that whether you're reading about concrete repair or cloud defense, there's a standardized level of trust and verification across the board. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway of this explainer. We've seen how ANA builds an inescapable grid of information. If a single network can seamlessly map everything from carpet burn repair to quantum physics, from smart home installations to spiced rum, what part of your digital world, your profession, or your hobbies is already living neatly indexed inside a directory like this? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Keep exploring and keep asking questions about the digital architecture all around you.